He said this in 1864. He said the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he didn't exist. The enemy is going to try to convince you that the threat is over here. And he's going to try to distract you. And he's going to come to you and be like, hey, look over here, look over here. And he's going to try to distract you with your spouse. Try to convince you that the threat in your life is your spouse. Hey, look at what your spouse does wrong. Look how they don't listen. Look how they don't pay attention. That's loud. It's coming through my microphone too. The enemy's going to try to distract you. Hey, look at all the problems your kids have. Look at your friends and how they backstabbed you. Look at your neighbor, your employer. Look over here. While the whole time the enemy's trying to shoot you down from behind. He wants to blindside you. He wants to ambush you. He's going to try to distract you with what I call decoys of drama. They're decoys. Oftentimes we have drama take place in our life, but they're just decoys, and the enemy's trying to distract you with decoys of drama. Write this down if you're taking notes. Satan wants to distract you with decoys of drama. He's really good at it. He's like, hey, look over here. Look over here. Hey, pay attention over here. And while you're focused over there, meanwhile, he's trying to take you out and ambush you and blindside you. Our threat is not our spouse. Your threat, your enemy is not your husband. It's not your wife. It's not your kids. It's not your neighbor. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood. It's against an enemy who is wanting to take us out. And he gets so good at distracting us at things that are really not the real threat. He gets so good at distracting us with people that are not the real threat. He gets so good at it that we begin to be convinced that, Satan's not a threat at all. I don't even think Satan's there. I don't even think Satan exists because my threat, my enemy is this person or this person or this person. Makes me think of the quote from Charles Baudelaire. He said this in 1864. He said the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he didn't exist. Greatest threat, greatest trick he ever pulled is convincing the world that he did not exist. But friends, Satan does exist. And so do the rulers, the authorities, the powers of this dark world and spiritual forces of evil. They exist. Which is why today's sermon is titled, The Struggle is Real. Because in Ephesians 6, the Apostle Paul says, our struggle is not against flesh and blood. But again, it's against the rulers, the authorities, the powers of this dark world, and spiritual forces of evil. And the struggle is real. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, the struggle is real. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? If you happen to be one of the people who's packing heat here today, you got a CCL, you got a firearm on your weapon that nobody, or on your hip that nobody knows about. If that happens to be you, or you know somebody who's packing right now, what does this all mean to you? Here's what this means to you. What this means is that if our struggle is not against flesh and blood, that gun on your hip is not going to help you against the greatest threat that you have. The weapon that you might be packing right now is not going to help you against the greatest threat, the rulers, the authorities, the powers of this dark world, and spiritual forces of evil. And yet, you should be prepared. We should all be prepared for whatever attacks from the enemy might come, right? So how can you be prepared? How can you be prepared against the real threat, the real enemy? Well, thankfully, the Apostle Paul, he talks about how you and I can become prepared. Let's dive back into God's word again, Ephesians 6:13. Paul says, therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Now, let me stop there for a second. He says, therefore, put on the full armor of God. Anytime you see in the Bible the word therefore, you have to ask yourself, what's it there for? And whatever that verse is there for came right before that statement. So the Apostle Paul just said, our battle, our struggle is not against flesh and blood. Therefore, put on the full armor of God. Now, look at what else the Apostle Paul says. He says, so that when the day of evil comes, not if, when the day of evil comes, you will be able to stand your ground. This last week, I took 2 different teams to Zion National Park with marksmen. And if you were here 2 Sundays ago, you might remember that I prayed for all the guys that were going on the trip to Zion. And one of the things that we specifically prayed for, I said, God, will you do more than we can ask or imagine? And in this trip, we had around 80 guys or so between these two different trips in Zion this last week. And let me just tell you, God did far more than what we could have asked or imagined. We do preparation on our side with logistics and planning and processes. We plan for everything down to the minute of what we do while we're there. We do our preparation, but what we can't prepare for is what God's going to do on his side. And God did far more than what I ever could have dreamed or imagined. Talk to any of the guys, the 80 guys or so, talk to any one of them, and they'll be like, well, God showed up here and here and here and here. It's every single day, multiple ways that God showed up in ways that we never could dream or ask or imagine. It was just incredible, mind-blowing. Well, every time I take these trips, I want to do diligence. I want to be prepared on my side. And specifically, I want to be prepared when it comes to weather, because I can't control the weather, you can't control the weather. So I want to be prepared when it comes to the weather. So about 2 or 3 weeks prior to each trip, I start checking the weather, because Zion has slot canyons. Slot canyons are these narrow, skinny canyons, and when a flash flood hits, it can be very, very dangerous. Back in 1961, there's 5 Boy Scouts that went into the Narrows, and they didn't know that there was a flash flood coming their direction. The flash flood hit them, killed all 5, including their troop master. In 1998, a flash flood hit, trapping 2 people from California who were hiking in Zion. They were trapped. They tried to escape. They both drowned trying to escape. In 2010, there was 2 men who went to Zion during a storm, during a flash flood, and they wanted to capitalize on what seemed exciting for them, an adrenaline rush. So they built a makeshift raft out of sticks and logs and got on top of the raft and tried to float down the Virgin River during a flash flood. And their makeshift raft hit a rock at some point. It broke apart into pieces. They fell into the water, and both men drowned. Zion can be dangerous. So every time we lead up to the trip, I'm checking the weather weeks ahead. And once we get there, I'm checking the weather. Me and the leadership team, we're checking the weather multiple times throughout the course of the day to see what the weather's going to do. And sometimes when I open up the weather app, it'll say it's a 1% chance of rain. And if it's a 1% chance of rain, I'm like, not that big of a deal. Not too worried. If my weather app says it's a 4% chance of rain, I'm still not too concerned, not too worried. If it says it's an 11% chance of rain, I'm starting to pay attention a little bit more. If it says it's a 20% chance of rain, well, now I start to look at the clouds in the sky and wonder, like, where is the rain coming from? I'll pull up the radar to see where the storm is and see where the rain might come. If the app says it's a 50% chance of rain, I start changing my plans. We have plan A, which is the main plan that we have, but I also have plan B, plan C, plan D, and plan E. We've gotten as far as plan D before, never made it to plan E yet. But I've got all these contingency plans just in case the weather gets really, really bad. But if my weather app says it's a 70%, 80%, 90% chance of rain, I'm moving from plan B to plan C, maybe to plan D. And there's been 1 or 2 times in the last 5 years or so that I've been taking teams to Zion that I'll look at my weather app and it says it's a 100% chance for rain. If my weather app says it's a 100% chance for rain, I better be prepared. I better be prepared to change my plans and adjust what the schedule was, because it's a 100% chance of rain. It's likely going to rain. Now, why do I share that with you? I share that with you because if you look at Ephesians 6, almost like a weather forecast, perhaps it changes your perspective a little bit. Let's go back and read it again through the lens of it being like a weather forecast. Ephesians 6:13, Paul says, "Put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to withstand your ground." He doesn't say if, he says when. In other words, it's like a 100% chance for rain. If it's a 100% chance of rain, you better have an umbrella. You better be prepared. And if it's a 100% chance that the day of evil is coming, you better be prepared. And yet, most people that I know don't have any sort of plan. There's no plan B, no plan C, no contingencies, no plan, no strategy at all for when, not if, when Satan's going to attack you. When the day of evil is coming, you have no plan for that. And you got to have a plan. So if you don't have a plan, I've got good news and bad news. Let me start with the bad news first. The bad news is what Jesus says about Satan. Here's how he describes him. John 10:10. Jesus describes Satan as the thief who comes to steal and kill and destroy. This is what Satan does. That's his MO. He comes to steal and kill and destroy. Now that's bad news, that's his agenda. That's what Satan wants to do. But the bad news, unfortunately, gets even worse. Turns into worse news. Why? Because, let me ask you this. Do you think that Satan is a gentleman? Do you think that he's courteous? Do you think that Satan's going to come up to you and knock on the door in the morning and be like, hey, good morning. I just want to give you a heads up that I'm coming to destroy your family at 7:22 during your dinner time tonight. He's not going to do that. You think Satan's going to come and knock on your door and be like, hey, be prepared because at 10:55, I'm going to cause a fight between you and your spouse right before you go to sleep. Hey, good morning. Hey, this morning, you're going to get in a car accident and you're nearly going to lose everything that's precious to you. Just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to wreak destruction today. My goal is to steal, kill, and destroy. I want to give you a heads up of when I'm coming today. Think Satan's going to do that? No. What does a thief do? He comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and you think he's going to give you a heads up? He's not going to give you a heads up. He's going to ambush you. He's going to blindside you. He's going to try to distract you, and then he's going to send his silent torpedoes after you while you're paying attention over here. He's going to come in from the other direction because that's what a thief does. He's not going to give you a warning. So write this down. It's impossible to know exactly when Satan will show. It's impossible to know. It'd be nice if he gave you a warning. It'd be great to know, like, well, Satan's going to attack me today. But you're never going to know. You're never going to know when he will show. So that's bad news. That's the bad news that I have for you. If you don't have a strategy for how to be prepared against attacks of the enemy, you just need to know. You're not going to know when he's going to come after you, like a thief in the night. So that's the bad news. Here's the good news. The good news is that through the course of this sermon series of Pack and Heat, over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to give you scriptures and verses that will help you fight against unknown attacks from the enemy. We're going to make you more prepared, perhaps, than you've ever been before.